The disappearance of D.B. Cooper. It's considered one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in American history. I mean, this story is crazy. Over the course of this retelling, you'll learn about a man who commandeered a plane, stole a bag of money, and then jumped out, leading to a 50-year investigation that's still being conducted. Our story starts on the afternoon of November 24th, 1971, aka the day before Thanksgiving, which has absolutely nothing to do with this case. I just thought it was a fun fact to share. A man going by the name of Dan Cooper was at the airport in Portland, Oregon. He bought a one-way ticket on Northwest Orient Airlines, flight number 305, heading to Seattle. He also paid cash for the ticket, and it was only 20 bucks back then. I mean, can you believe that? Who pays cash for a plane ticket? So let's take a closer look at Dan Cooper. He appeared to be around 40 years old, and he was wearing a full-on business getup, a white shirt, black tie, brown shoes, and a black coat. He was also carrying a briefcase and a brown paper bag, you know, just your average businessman taking a puddle jumper flight. Little did everyone know that things were about to get terrifying. The flight to Seattle boarded. Now, while he was waiting for the flight to take off, Dan ordered a bourbon and soda. The plane takes off. At around 3:00 p.m., Dan gave a note to a flight attendant named Florence, and she slipped the note in her pocket. Now, he told her to open the note immediately and told her he had an explosive device. Snap. He demanded that she sit next to him, and she did, as anyone being threatened that way should. Well, she asked to see the explosive device, and he opened his briefcase to show her a bundle of red sticks and wires. Dan told Florence to write a note to give to the captain of the plane. Now, in that note, he demanded $200,000 in $20 bills, 4 parachutes, and a fuel truck in Seattle ready to refuel the plane once they landed. Florence took the note to the captain. Now, when she came back, Dan was wearing dark sunglasses. Shady. So the pilot contacted Seattle Air Traffic Control, who informed local and federal authorities. The flight passengers were told that their flight would be delayed due to mechanical problems, but in reality, they were scrambling to try and figure out how to handle the situation. So what did they do? Well, the president of the airline authorized the money and told his employees to cooperate with Dan's orders. The police and FBI gathered all the ransom money and the parachute. The serial number on the $20 bills were all documented. And meanwhile, Dan ordered himself a second bourbon and soda. This guy, I mean, he's as cool as a cucumber, or as I like to say, cool as a stuffed mushroom. So Dan was informed his demands would be met and was offered 4 military-issue parachutes. Now, he turned down the parachutes and ordered for civilian parachutes with manual ripcords. Weird flex, but okay. So the Seattle police found the parachutes at a local skydiving school, and the flight landed at around 5:30 p.m. Dan exchanged the 36 passengers for the money and the parachutes, and Dan kept a handful of crew members. The plane took off again, this time for Mexico City per Dan's requests. Dan told the pilot to keep the plane below 10,000 feet, and then he put his shades back on, as one does when one takes over an entire airplane. Now this is where it gets completely crazy, and what makes this story one of the greatest heist stories of all time. At around 8:00 p.m., Dan jumped out of the airplane with the parachute and the ransom money, never to be seen again. What? The plane was somewhere between Seattle and Reno, and after Dan's big leap, the rest of the crew landed safely at the Reno airport. Now, after searching the plane, officials found a black tie. It was Dan's tie from earlier that he took off before jumping out of the plane. Now, that tie contained a DNA sample, and officials acknowledged that there was no way to prove that the suspect was the source of the sample material. So, what happened? This begins the infamous and mysterious investigation of Norjack, or the Northwest hijack. You can figure it out. The investigation lasted for years and is still going on to this day. So who is Dan? Where is he now? And did he survive the jump? The area below where Dan jumped out was extensively searched. No pertinent information or evidence was found. FBI agents even conducted a submarine search in a lake where they found nothing. Witnesses from the flight were interviewed, and from the information provided, sketch artists came up with the infamous drawing of Dan, complete with his sunglasses, of course. Hundreds of people were interviewed, leads from across the country were pursued, and by the 5-year anniversary of the incident, they had investigated and ruled out around 800 suspects. An Oregon man named D.B. Cooper became one of the first suspects in the case. He was contacted by the police because D.B. Cooper sounds a lot like Dan Cooper. The police were really grasping at straws here, and D.B. was ruled out as a suspect shortly thereafter because his name was confused by a reporter. Now, because of that writer's mistake, Dan is now mostly recognized as D.B. Cooper. And what's in a name anyway? Another suspect, Richard, was caught for a similar airplane incident where he escaped using a parachute. How original. He was eventually ruled out for not matching Dan, or should I say DB's, physical description. A month after the crime, the serial numbers from the ransom money were released to banks, casinos, racetracks, and large money-collecting businesses. Northwest Orient Airlines offered a 15% reward of the money recovered, yet they had no luck. In 1972, the serial numbers were released to the public, and that same year, 2 men used fake $20 bills with the serial numbers printed on them. Seems like they were pretty hungry for money. Personally, I'm hungry for mushrooms. Many other letters were sent to news companies regarding the disappearance of Dan. One letter was written as Dan, confessing to the crime. Another was written by someone claiming to be Dan's brother. Another was sent as a eulogy, stating that Dan had passed away. With this many friends, it sounds like Dan was a real people person. Now here's where the plot thickens even more. In 1980, a little boy found a brown paper bag with $20 bills. Sound familiar? The serial numbers on the cash matched that of the ransom money given to Dan. Now, most people believe the money must have fallen into the water when Dan jumped out of the plane. So the FBI did an extensive search of the area, but didn't turn up any new leads. Now, fast forward to 2013. A man named Tom Colbert came up with an elaborate plan to uncover the truth about Dan's identity. Tom was convinced that a man named Robert W. Rackstraw was Dan, which is a great name, by the way. Robert was former military, trained in both demolition and parachuting. This means he could operate parachutes and make explosives just like Dan. Well, over the years, Tom advanced his theory, coming up with loads of clues tying Robert to the mysterious event on the plane decades earlier. Tom actually wanted to make a documentary and write a book covering his theory that Robert was Dan. Tom planned to lure Robert in with the offer to work on a made-up TV show about a group of mercenaries. Now, in reality, it would be for the documentary linking Robert to the crime, and Robert turned it down. Unable to get his own documentary off the ground, Tom appeared on a History Channel special about the Norjack story and published his theory in a book. But a lot of people think that's just a publicity stunt. So on July 8th, 2016, the FBI made an announcement that they would be suspending the active investigation of Norjack 45 years after the initial incident. The FBI said that they would still accept physical evidence relating specifically to the ransom money or the parachutes. So if you hear anything, just call up the FBI and let them know. So now, do you see why this is known as the greatest unsolved mystery in American history? Well, friends, the disappearance of DB Cooper is a loaded case. So are these mushrooms. From his black tie and his dark sunglasses to his parachuting skills, Dan was quite the mysterious man. In fact, Tom cashed in on Dan's story to write a book and make several TV appearances. But is the suspicious perpetrator of this crime still out there? The world may never know.